The poor boy's struggle, a journey to success. Ravi was born in a small, dusty village where survival was a daily battle. His family lived in a tiny mud house with a thatched roof, which leaked whenever it rained. The walls had cracks, and the cold wind often blew through the holes at night. His father, Ramu, was a poor farmer, and his mother, Meena, worked as a maid in the nearby town. Despite their hard work, they barely earned enough to eat one full meal a day. Ravi's parents dreamed of giving him an education, but money was always a problem. He had 3 younger siblings, and every grain of rice in their home had to be carefully shared. Most days, they ate plain rice with salt. On better days, they had a thin lentil soup. Ravi never complained, but he often went to bed hungry, staring at the sky through the broken roof, wondering if life would ever change. From a young age, Ravi had a deep love for learning, but his village school was small, with only one teacher for all the children. There were no proper benches, so students sat on the floor. The blackboard was old, and the chalk was always broken. Most of his classmates didn't care about school because they knew they would end up working in the fields like their parents. But Ravi was different. He wanted something more. His biggest problem was books. He had none. The school had only a few old books, and they were torn and filled with scribbles. So Ravi found his own way. He collected old newspapers from garbage bins, picked up discarded notebooks, and carefully erased the used pages so he could write on the blank ones. Every night, he sat under the dim street lamp outside his house, reading whatever he could find. His father often scolded him. "Why waste time with books? We need you in the fields." But Ravi begged for just a little time to study. His mother secretly supported him, whispering, "One day, your knowledge will change our fate." When Ravi turned 12, his world shattered. One evening, he overheard his parents talking in hushed voices. "We can't afford to send him to school anymore." His father sighed. "We barely have enough to survive." Tears welled in Ravi's eyes. He had worked so hard, and now his dreams were slipping away. That night, as he lay on his thin straw mat, he made a decision he would not give up. The next morning, he woke up before dawn and walked to the village market. He asked shopkeepers if they had any work. A tea seller finally agreed to hire him to carry hot tea to customers and clean the cups. It paid only a few rupees, but Ravi took whatever he could get. After school, he worked at a small food stall, washing plates and cleaning tables. His hands became rough, and his back ached from bending all day. But he never complained. He saved every single rupee. He spent nothing on sweets or toys like other children. Every coin was precious because it meant one more month in school. Despite his struggles, he remained the top student in his class. His teachers noticed his hard work and determination. One day, the headmaster called him and said, "Ravi, you are brilliant. You deserve a better education. I will recommend you for a scholarship to a school in the city." It was the best news of his life. But the excitement didn't last long. He had no money for travel, books, or food. With a heavy heart, Ravi said goodbye to his family. He had no money for a bus ticket, so he walked. The journey was long, 2 days of walking under the hot sun. He had no proper shoes, and the stones cut his feet. At night, he slept on the roadside, using his small bag as a pillow. He drank water from roadside taps and ate whatever little food kind strangers gave him. When he reached the city, he was exhausted but determined. The school was much bigger than his village school, with proper desks, fans, and a library full of books. It felt like another world, but life in the city was not easy. The scholarship paid for his studies, but not for his food or stay. He took up a cleaning job at the school. Every morning, before classes began, he swept the floors and cleaned the classrooms. In return, the school gave him one meal a day. At night, he studied under the streetlight, just as he had in his village. Some of the city students made fun of him. "Look at the poor boy who cleans our classrooms." They laughed, but Ravi ignored them. He had bigger dreams than they could imagine. One evening, as Ravi sat outside the city library, reading an old newspaper, a well-dressed man noticed him. "Why are you reading here so late?" The man asked. "I have no money for books, sir. This is the only way I can study," Ravi replied honestly. The man was impressed. His name was Mr. Verma, a successful businessman. He saw the hunger for knowledge in Ravi's eyes and decided to help him. "From today, you will study without worrying about money," he said. He arranged for Ravi's hostel, food, and books. For the first time in his life, Ravi didn't have to struggle for basic needs, but he never took anything for granted. He worked harder than ever, topping his class every year. Years passed, and Ravi's hard work paid off. He earned a scholarship to a prestigious university. He studied business and technology, always remembering where he came from. After graduation, he started a small company. He faced failures, but he never gave up. Slowly, his business grew. One day, he returned to his village not as a poor farmer's son, but as a successful entrepreneur. The same people who once pitied him now looked at him with pride. But Ravi hadn't come back just to celebrate his success. He had a bigger purpose. He built a school in his village where poor children could study for free. He made sure that no child had to work at tea stalls or walk miles barefoot just to get an education. Standing in front of the new school, he looked at his parents, who had tears in their eyes. "Ma, Baba, we don't have to struggle anymore," he said. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering, "You have changed our fate, my son." Ravi's story became an inspiration for thousands of children. He proved that success is not about where you start, but about how determined you are to reach your goal. Through every hardship, hunger, and terror, Ravi had one thing that kept him going: hope. And that hope turned a poor boy's struggle into a journey of triumph. Moral of the story: hard work, determination, and kindness can change even the toughest fate. Never give up on your dreams, no matter how difficult the road may be.